Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Dane Extra channel. If you're listening on the Cycling Dane podcast today, Patrick and myself, we are going to be diving through the teams of the Giro d'Italia, how they did, and rank them accordingly as well in a tier list. And I mean, Patrick, why is our tier list? We've done many tier lists in the past, and this one is going to be a very fun one.
Out of 6 categories rather than 5, usually we're a little bit between one or another, so we thought we'd just throw another one in there. So going from bottom to top, we have the Were They Even Here category, which represents the teams who we didn't think did that much, to I Think They Were Here, which is where we're going to see teams who we noticed a couple of times and did some notable things, then up to Passable, Better Than Expected, Very Good, and lastly Legendary, which is reserved pretty much for the teams who are the best, in our opinion, during the Giro d'Italia 2025.
Well, starting on a high, VF Group Bardiani is not quite when Palazzari took the Cima Coppi, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I saw Marcel Lucy sometimes.
Yeah, Fiorelli was in the top 10 a few times, I want to say. Yeah, Marcelluzzi was prevalent in the breaks. The thing is, they were here. I did see them. Zanoncello was in the top 10 of a couple of stages in the sprints. The thing is, they didn't have that much influence on the race overall, but I did see them. So I'm going to say I think they were here category.
But they're a pro-continental team as well, so it seems a bit harsh to go in on them. Next, the team that's trying to avoid becoming a pro-continental team, XDS Astana. I mean, Patrick, we've absolutely loved this team in this year's Giro d'Italia, and all the recaps we've been talking about them. Blue jersey with Lorenzo Fortunato, Christian Scaroni second in that competition, taking a stage win, 1-2. I mean, yeah, not quite the highest, the best Giro. Of course, they won the Giro in the past, but from where they were at the start of the year, this has been an absolutely great Giro on my account.
Yeah, I've completely agree. I think they were super good in this Giro d'Italia in comparison to what I was sort of expecting from them. And Fortunato wore the pink jersey for at least 2 weeks or something like that. It was crazy. Lots of TV time. Holding the Maillot was okay. Yes, they only wore it for a day, but I mean, not many teams wore the pink jerseys, so to be one of them is quite a feat. Yeah, I'm going to go with very good because I would perhaps put them in legendary if they had another stage win. And I feel like, considering that Harper and Prodom got breakaway victories in those last few days, I think that somebody like Fortunato or Poles could have been up there competing for that. So I feel like they missed an opportunity or two. So that's my reasoning for not having them in the very top category.
Yeah, well, fair play to them for going all in on the blue jersey and getting it and getting the second place as well. I mean, at this rate, and they've even on the day of recording, they won the Boucle de Mayenne. I mean, Patrick, do you think they could avoid a World Tour relegation at this rate?
Almost certainly. I think they've absolutely nailed their strategy for this year. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no way they're going to get relegated now.
But anyways, moving on and keeping to the Giro d'Italia, this is a team that in the ranking, in terms of, according to Pro Cycling Stats, if you put all the points together, was 19th out of 23. Groupama FDJ had David Gaudu, Lorenzo Germani, I remember him in the break as well. I mean, did they get a victory? I don't recall that.
I don't really remember Groupama doing much. Gaudu was the main man, and I didn't really see him that much. He was in a break, I want to say, but it was only ever really being dropped out of a breakaway that I saw him on the TV. No, they didn't get a victory. I can't really remember what was going on for them in this race. And yeah, it seems a bit harsh, but I'm kind of tempted to put them in the bottom tier based upon the fact they are a World Tour team, and I just think they should have done more.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you bring a certain David Gaudu, who's been fourth in the Tour de France before, we probably want to see something. Anyways, the order was completely random, but here we are, Team Visma Lease Bike, the team that, won on the final day in the mountains. I mean, Simon Yates playing in an absolute blinder, as we've talked about, and really flying under the radar and getting his redemption on the Finestre climb. And that a very popular victory among the two of us. We actually talked about it before the Giro as well, that this could be a possibility, but the comments disagreed with us. But here we are. Wout van Aert, superb teammate as well in the beginning in Albania, very close to winning the opening stage. And Olaf Koy 2-stage wins. I mean, Patrick, this is a different kind of Visma Lease bike, Jumbo Visma performance, but they were very efficient. I think that's how I'm putting it.
Yeah, they were super good in this race. And with a bit of a abnormal team, dare I say, without a huge focus either on the sprints or the GC. It was a split team and they managed to make both of them work miraculously, which isn't something that you see particularly often. So I think it was an absolutely incredible performance to do well in both of those camps, despite not having a team weighted either way. Coy with the 2 wins, Wout with a win on the stage 9 on the Stradivarius roads, taking the overall win with such an incredible performance over the Finestre up to Sestelier. It has to be legendary.
Completely agree. And do you think Simon Yates is the best signing of 2025? Of course, we talked about the transfers in length in transfer talks, but yeah, it's almost similar to Jai Hindley. I think, didn't he win the Giro in the first season as well with Bora when he signed them?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, after going from Sunweb. Yeah, I guess at the moment, it's hard to compete if from the best transfer standpoint to the man who's won the first Grand Tour of the season. So at the moment, Simon Yates is definitely winning that competition.
Very diplomatic. Of course, we think he's going to be good to the Tour de France as well and helping Jonas Vingegaard. So we'll wait and see. Anyways, Patrick, moving on to Intermarché Wanty. I don't know about you, but for me, they've not been the most exciting team, to say the least. Louis Meintjes was in here, Gerben Tysons. They're bottom ranked in the Pro Cycling Stats ranking. And what do you think of this?
It wasn't the Intermarché performance I was expecting, but to be fair, I mean, way back at the start of the year, we were previewing their team and it certainly lacks a little bit of depth outside of Biniam Girmay, who they can't send to every race. So it was always going to be a team a little bit on a shoestring, let's say. I mean, they were here. That's the thing is that, I mean, one of the highlights of the race for me was my boy Francesco Passato, first day finishing 4th place, getting that white jersey. But outside of that, I don't really remember that much else from them. So maybe that's just a little bit of bias from me, but I think it's one of those bottom 2 categories. I mean, yeah, I saw Taco Van der Horn in some breakaways, but overall they just weren't that prevalent.
Yeah, I definitely saw them.
Yeah, I guess, I think let's go with that second to bottom tier. I think I definitely saw more of them than I did of Groupama.
Polti, what did you think of them? I mean, Piganzoli, we were kind of very excited to see what he could do. I mean, Tonelli was quite prevalent. Yeah, best in GC, 14th. And yeah, no stage wins, of course. But it's a pro continental team, so you have to judge it by that as well.
Yeah, I remember Maestri being in the top 10 on the stage. Lonardi as well
Wasn't he second on a stage as well, or third?
Maestri, yeah, I think he was second on was it the Nico Den stage?
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm going to go with the second to bottom. I think they were here.
Oh, I was going to go Possible with the 14th in GC as well.
I don't know. I feel like a top 10 would have put them in Possible for me.
Oh, ouch. You have high criteria to... Okay, fair enough. Hardball here.
I don't know. You can put it impossible to kind of breach that new territory if you want.
Okay, a team. Well, actually, Bahrain Victorious. What do you think of Bahrain Victorious? I mean, best in GC, 5th again, like last year, but this time not Tiberi. He, of course, I think he was involved in that very bad crash. And Caruso again flying under the radar and doing what Caruso does. Yeah, no stage wins though, but a 5th place, pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? I remember, and also I just a series of top 5s in stages. Caruso, Zambanini as well got a 2nd place, I think it was a 2nd place. It was like Pedersen, Zambanini, Pidcock. So he got up there as well. But I think Tiberi was a big disappointment. It pretty much all came apart, like you say, after that crash. That seemed to really derail him, but he was doing pretty good outside of that. I think they had aspirations of finishing on the podium for this race. And yeah, 5th place is all right. So I'm going to go with Possible. Yeah,
I think so. For them, they have such a interesting squad as well. And yeah, if you had 5th last year and you're coming with a guy, okay, Caruso is a bit older now, but still, you are wanting something out of it. Anyways, Cofidis, and this one I'm thinking Sinman Munike, who I think had the blue jersey quite early on. 2 days in the blue jersey, in fact. So they had the 2 days that weren't taken by Lorenzo Fortunato. He had it for 18 days.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy, isn't it? But I agree with you. That's all I can specifically remember from Cofidis's performance was Monique having that blue jersey. I'm really struggling to think of other things. I remember Milan Fretan here. He left after the second rest day. I think he got a couple of top tens, but by and large, I think they were pretty
World tour
visible.
team as well, apparently. World
Is
tour
it a
team.
world? Oh, mate, put them in the bottom.
Not good for the French teams. Alpecin de Koenig, I mean, one stage win, Caden Groves, on that neutralized stage where it was a bit crazy. Yeah, they're very good at making sure to get that stage win. But other than that,
It has to be higher than I think they were here. I think it's just passable. Getting the stage win pretty much puts them in there. There's no way they could be below that. It was just a very weird one from Alpecin, all in all. Groves got outside of that stage win. He got another 2 second places. One on the last day, and then the other one when Asglane won. So he was close on some of other occasions, but then it was really weird when Nico Denz won. Like, he was in the breakaway, and it just all fell apart for them. It was very weird. It seemed like he pretty much just had the win in the bag there because he was up against like Pedersen, who he'd probably beat in a flat sprint. So I think if they had 2 stage wins, maybe they'd be in a tier higher, but I think passable is about right.
Ineos Grenadiers, we love to talk about them. To put it in perspective, the last two Giro tires, they've had Geraint Thomas on the podium, and then Tian Arendsman fifth, and then sixth. And then Lawrence de Plus as well in 2023. So they've had a very good record. But this year, I mean, Egan Bernal, we know he's still like on the long road to recovery, but we were getting glimpses of old Egan Bernal here, I felt like. And Arendsman, he was probably the disappointment here. And we had Josh Tarling taking his first stage win, becoming the youngest winner of a Giro d'Italia time trial. So, I mean, Patrick, what do you think of Ineos Grenadiers? I mean, their aspirations have kind of been beaten out of them in the last 2 years. So if we're going realistic here, the field was a lot higher in terms of the favorites. With that in mind, where do you put Ineos?
I mean, with the stage win, it's sort of a bit like Alpecin, so I'm going to go with passable. Where was Bernal overall in GC? Seventh?
Seventh.
Yeah, I think passable is about right, isn't it? A stage win and seventh in GC.
You wouldn't put them in better than expected?
No, I think for that, they would have to have got a top 5 in GC for me. I think that would put them there. So yeah, when you got like Bernal and Arensman, they were both top 10 candidates, and you only get one of them in there, and in the bottom half of the top 10, I think that passable. It's fine.
Moving on to Picnic Personnel, they had Romain Bardet in here. On paper, this is his last ever Grand Tour. Wasn't quite how he would have wanted to end it, I think. 11th place was their best rider in GC, which I think was your man, Max Poole. And Romain Bardet up in the breaks. He did crash as well, and they had that stage win with Casper Van Udent. So what were you expecting out of this? Because if I'm honest, I wasn't expecting a top 10 from them. I wasn't expecting a stage win either.
I think I was expecting a stage win, but I don't think I was expecting it from Van Uden. I thought that it would probably come from Bardet, I suppose, getting him a breakaway quite a bit. And to be fair, he did get second place on one stage, fourth place on another. So he was trying for the breaks, and he got another top 10 somewhere as well, although stage which Plap won. He was top 10 there. But yeah, he was pretty close to that stage win, actually, with Del Toro and Carapaz. I mean, if Q36.5 didn't chase on that day for Pidcock to get dropped, then Bardet actually might have survived and got that stage win. So I think I was expecting a stage win. The top 10 in GC, probably not. So I'm going to, for me, it's another passable. I think this is a team which you kind of think they should be fighting for a stage win. And yeah, maybe if they got a top 10, it might be into better than expected, but 11th place.
Tudor Pro Cycling. And of course, at the beginning, you were backing Michael Storer quite heavily, the winner of the Tour of the Alps. I mean, he did repay you to some extent. 10th place in GC. I think that's his best result in a Grand Tour. Given the limited resources he had in the team, I think I kind of rate that. They didn't have Alaphilippe, they didn't have Mark Hirschi. I think Mark Hirschi was on the provisional start list, but dropped out. But Patrick, since you were so high on Michael Storer, what do you think about him and the overall team as well? Obviously, they were quite prominent in the breakaways.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Storer, I think, finished a bit lower than I was expecting him to, based upon how just incredible he was at the Tour the Alps. I mean, nobody was really close to him at all. Even people who they finished ahead of him, like Caruso, for example, finished behind him in Tour of the Alps and finished ahead of him in the Giro. So I think I was thinking Storer would finish more towards the top 5. Outside of him, I mean, Florian Stork was doing a very good job. A bit of a kind of late bloomer, I suppose, in cycling, but I think he got a second place on the stage where Verona won. Voisard was in that breakaway where Scaroni won. I mean, yeah, they were prevalent. They didn't get a stage win. For me, it's either passable or I think they were here.
Okay, I said possible because I think it was top 10 for a pro continental team is still very impressive, I think. And yeah, but I agree with what you said. And they were actually quite active in the breaks as well. We did see the jersey a lot. Movistar, the team that have won the Giro d'Italia before with Nairo Quintana, who was in fact here, apparently. Didn't see him much. Yeah, I don't know what you think about them. Aina Rubio was the highest place finisher in GC, 8th place, but a very quiet campaign from him. He's, of course, taken a win before a stage win. They also had Alois, who almost took a stage win on the first stage. I don't know what you think of these fallen giants in terms of Grand Tour racing.
Yeah, I was going to say outside of those two names, I can't remember that much else. Maybe Baron Exia might have been in a breakaway one day, possibly.
True. And Cepeda was in the break quite a few times.
Yeah, Cepeda got that top 10 like, again on the day where Scaroni won. This wasn't that great though overall, is it? But you finish inside the top 10, so you can't. Yeah, Alois was nice and present. Rubio gets a top 10. Is it another passable?
We'll review the possible category at the end, and maybe we'll just promote someone. But yeah, okay, we'll put them there for the time being. EF Education Easy Post. I mean, a breath of fresh air. Carapaz looking like the old Carapaz. And they finished with 2 stage wins, and that's not very often they get that, to be honest. And of course, Carapaz finishing 3rd on the podium after Simon Yates leapfrogged both him and a certain Mexican. But Kasper Asgreen and Carapaz responsible for the victories. Yeah, Patrick, what do you think of this? Were we talking about Carapaz for the win? I think we were still a bit uncertain if we had Carapaz back or if he was kind of on the wrong way and the 4th place in the Vuelta was kind of just a happy result. But I almost want to say better than expected.
Really? I was going to say very good.
Oh, okay, we can say very good as well.
I mean, they got a podium spot.
Yeah, true.
This is
true. You're right.
And 2 stage wins. Yeah, I
True.
think it's very good. It's just they're very prevalent. Saw them all the time. Carapaz was a great watch. Asgreen's stage win was a nice little, glimmer of hope that he's kind of, back to a really good level or whatever. So, yeah, I think it's a very good performance from EF on the whole.
I agree. Moving on to another team that probably isn't going to be there. And another World Tour team, apparently. Okay, B&B Hotels. Yeah, exactly that face, Patrick. Who? Best rider in terms of GC, 22nd.
I remember Alessandro Verde was up there in breakaways quite a bit. What was he? He was second on stage 20. He actually had a very good ride, I think, this year. But so for that reason, I'm going to go with I think they were here. Because I do remember seeing them.
Right, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, moving on to Soudal Quick-Step, who left Albania without a lander, unfortunately. And that kind of changed Soudal Quick-Step's whole Giro outlook. Leaving the race with no victories, 19th. Patrick, they tried in the breakaways. Gaffoli, he had a crash as well, but they were visible in the breaks. Catania was up there. Paul Magnier left the race as well. I was expecting more from Ethan Hayter, to be honest.
Yeah, Hayter did good in that 1TT, though.
Wasn't that because he got a motor pacing from one of the motorbikes?
Oh, did he? Oh, God, I didn't see that.
Favourable drafting.
Yeah, I think the Soudal Quick-Step were, without Lander, they're always going to be kind of struggling to do something this race because it was a team really built around him. So they kind of made the most of a bad situation, I suppose. But they weren't that prevalent in the sprints. Yeah, maybe expected a bit more of Magnier. But, yeah, he was up there in some of the sprints. I think he got a top 5 at least. But, yeah, it was a team... Yeah, focused around Lander, so they're always going to be a bit scuppered once he DNF'd, but I don't know, so it feels kind of harsh to put them too low, but at the end of the day, it's sort of like a passable, but I think they were here. Like, there was no stage win in there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to promote someone to better than expected. Anyways, Jacob Alula, um,
Speaking of,
was it better than expected for you? Two stage wins?
yeah, I wasn't expecting them to get 2 stage wins.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, there we go.
Did they have a sprinter? I didn't. They didn't really have a sprinter here. They had like Depreto as like their fastest guy. There's a team focused around Harper trying to get a top 10 in GC. Okay, that didn't happen, but 2 stage wins and the Chima copy is pretty good.
Oh yeah, true. The Chima copy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, boom. There we go. You're right. Bang, bang, bang. And yeah. Do you think they would have taken this over a top 10 and no stage wins?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Huh, we're gonna get onto that with a team coming up. You know which one. There was no
Oh
top
yeah.
10 there.
Oh no.
It rhymes with Smitcock. But anyways, Red Bull Borhansgrohe, obviously they crazy strong team on paper. Daniel Martinez last year, second place. Giant Headley, former winner of this race. Roglic, last time he was here, won it in 2023. Sixth place in GC and one stage win with Nico Dens. So Nico Dens really saving their bacon. And Giulio Pilazzari as well. So Roglic crashing out, Giant Hindley crashing out as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like Soudal Quick-Step with Lander, apart from it's taken up another notch because they lost Hindley and Roglic. Like I say, the stage win with Dens does certainly help things, and with Pellizzari finishing 6th in GC after being on domestique duty for most of the race, I thought that was really impressive as well. Who knows what he could have done if he didn't have to be a domestique for the rest of the time. Difficult, because in the context of the fact that they lost Roglic and Hindley, I think this is better than expected. But on the whole, with them, the fact that they started with Roglic, you would have expected them to be having a podium place in here. So it's a strange one. It kind of depends on what angle you look at it from. But I think the stage win plus Pellizzari looking pretty good. Roglic was, he got that second place in the TT. Who knows what could have been. I'm kind of tempted to say better than expected, given the context that Roglic.
I think you're right. That the way you've navigated this is, you've saved Red Bull Borhansgrohe from going into a bad category. And they also had the Maglia Rosa for 2 days.
Way.
Not the 2 days that they won it. Visma only had it for 1 day.
Oh, that's true. There you go. It's all that counts.
But moving on to Q36.5, and Tom Pidcock was coming here, heading up the team. Arguably the first time he's led a GCT or led a team into a Grand Tour. The aspiration was top 10. We were both saying go for stages. That's more exciting. Better publicity if you win 2-3 stages. He did get, as you said earlier, was it 2 top 3s? Or was it only
one top 3?
Only the one. But so 16th in GC, so top 10 failed. And yeah, with Isaac Del Toro 5 years younger than him, finishing second, it's kind of like, why were you doing this? They are still pro-continental though, so that we still have to judge it by that stick.
Pidcock was pretty prevalent. Like, yeah, got that third place. He was up there in quite a few stages, but I mean, what else? I mean, Moschetti got third place on the last day. They were around, but I think I was expecting more of them is the thing. I'm just thinking that this Passpal's getting awfully, crowded.
We're going to have to move someone somewhere.
Yeah, I think is they are actually passable. In comparison to what they set out to do, they didn't get the stage wins and stuff, but they were still about the place.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I'm tempted to move Movistar down to, I think they were here, considering I know Rubio had actually been finishing high up. Nairo Quintana nowhere. I mean, this team has such a reputation that they should be getting more out of the Giro, if I'm honest. So can we move them down?
Yeah, move them down. That balances things a little bit.
Tudor seems harsh to move down, where we've just put Q36.5 in there. Soudal Quick-Step, I mean...
Yeah, maybe. In the grand scheme of things, it's harsh, but we need to balance things out. Yeah, I think that's looking better. I think we can, continue.
Decathlon AG2R, I mean, Nicolas Prudhomme, as you already mentioned, that stage win was incredible. 15th in GC, the best results, and yeah. And what do you think of them? Obviously, last year, Ben O'Connor was riding their flag and did very well. What do you think of Decathlon AG2R in 2025?
It's hard to say whether it's better than expected or passable. I think I was expecting him to fight for a stage win, but probably with like Bennett. I guess Prudhomme as well. I was sort of thinking Bennett was just very absent in the sprints, in my opinion, which was a bit disappointing. Prudhomme really saved their skin with that stage win. If not, they would be really, they might even be in the bottom tier, dare I say.
The French World Tour club.
Yeah, literally. I mean, De Bont was fighting Pedersen tooth and nail for some intermediate competition, which nobody really knows about. Oh, gosh. One stage win for a World Tour team. It's kind of what they came in to do. It's that kind of vibe, isn't it? I can't really put them in better than expected when up there is a team with 2 stage wins and a team with 1 stage win and a top 10. But they're better than I think they were here, because I think put them up to passable and move Q36.5 down.
Oops.
Yeah, I think that's because Q36.5, I was like, no offense, but I really thought Pidcock would do a bit more. We were talking about many stages he could go fighting for, and he didn't.
Yeah, true. Even the Vicenza stage, I thought it was built for him. And okay, he had bad luck on the Strade Bianche stage as well. But yeah, we were definitely hoping for a bit more. Yeah, it was just, we wanted to see Pidcock unleashed, but it didn't quite get unleashed. Derek G and Israel Premier Tech next. 4th place with Derek G. I thought this was absolutely sensational, but he has kind of gone through like the steps since his Giro, where he broke out after we saw him very prevalent in the breakaways. And I mean, Israel Premier Tech, pseudo World Tour team as we know, but where do you put them?
4th place in GC is better than expected. That's just like the definition of it. But it's just that outside of that, there wasn't that much going on. Was there like Corbin Strong was their sprinter, but like the breakaways, there was no like Frigo or anything really to get why he was in the break. But I'm tempted to say better than expected, because quite frankly, it is better than I was expecting them to do.
And put it this way, in the Pro Cycling Stats ranking, they are 13th. So based on points that they build up. So despite getting that 4th place, 13th. So I think that, yeah, I think your reasoning is a good point, and we'll put them there. I think it feels right. And yeah, an amazing result. Now coming to Lidl-Trek. 6 stage wins with 3 different riders. Okay, 54th in GC. Who cares about that? Ciccone abandoning number 1 in the Pro Cycling Stats ranking points. I mean, Patrick, this team has absolutely just run riot with this race.
It's pretty easy where they're going to end up, but the Ciclamina jersey, what was it? 4 stage wins for Pedersen, 1 for Hola, 1 for Verona. So again, 6 stage wins across 3 riders. The Ciclamina jersey from way early on. Who knows what might have happened if Ciccone was still here? I think he would have been fighting for a top 5, I would say. So I think they get legendary, and that's even without Ciccone. So that's really impressive and really shows how good Lidl-Trek were in this race.
5 days with the Maglia Rosa, courtesy of Mads Pedersen, and 20 days in the points jersey. So yeah. better than Tadej Pogačar last year with the Maglia Rosa. So Mads Pedersen, start to finish in that purple jersey.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
But yeah, obviously he wasn't wearing it when I was wearing the Maglia Rosa, but he still had it on paper. Now finishing with UAE Team Emirates, 2nd in the Pro Cycling Stats ranking. 2 stage wins, courtesy of Isaac Del Toro and Juan Ayuso. 2nd with Isaac Del Toro, the white jersey as well, so close to the victory. With that whole belly up thing in the last stage, we talked about it, so many mistakes by UAE. They really lost the race themselves, and Visma really capitalized. But yeah, what do you think of this? We were talking about them winning. They had the strongest team. Adam Yates, Ayuso, all these guys had finished on the podium in a Grand Tour. And it was kind of, we were thinking, it's just who do they decide to win? And here they come 2nd with Del Toro, still 21 years young. Did have the jersey as well for 11 days and does win the white jersey. He's only 21 years old and 2 stage wins. So, I mean, Patrick, with that, I mean, what do you think?
I want to put them in very good for the reasoning that when I compare them to EF, they've done a very similar job in that they got 2 stage wins with 2 different riders and they finished on the podium, which EF also did. I think UAE was a strange one. If they won, obviously they'd be in legendary, but I don't think there's enough differentiation between them and EF in this tier list to put them into legendary, outside of the fact that they got the white jersey with Del Toro. But that's kind of more of like just a de facto prize for the fact that he was so good at such a young age. So that doesn't really weigh in that much for me on this decision. So I think it's very good. They were coming here for the win. They didn't get it. You know, they were pretty close. They wore the Maya Rosa, but maybe that's something that EF didn't do, so maybe that could weigh a little bit, but it's like minor little footnotes, and I don't think it's enough to take him into the top category. But it's still a very good performance from UE on the whole. Del Toro really showed how classy of a rider he is, like just how big of a future he's going to have in this sport. So I think the future is bright for Del Toro, and he really put on a show in this race.
Yeah, but I mean, that's basically the tier list out of the way. But I mean, Patrick, if we're going to nail it really hard here, winners and losers of the Giro d'Italia 2025. Let's start with winners. Which teams have kind of impressed you? Obviously, we talked about Lidl-Trek with those 6-stage wins. Winner, Visma Leasebike, obviously they leave with a trophy. Astana as well. I mean, which teams for you won this Giro d'Italia? Obviously, there's only one winner, but
I would say EF is a winner, in my opinion. I think they have been kind of like on this weird fringe for a while now. And we've all heard about how high like Jonathan Vogters is about Carapaz, and he talks about how he's going to win a Grand Tour and do this and do that and take it to Poggy and yeah. And we're all like, okay, yeah, Jonathan, you just you keep banging that drum. But you know what? Carapaz really did step up in this race, and I felt that was really impressive. I wasn't expecting him to be fighting for the victory. I was thinking maybe a top 5, so I thought if they were really punching above their weight, like you say, Lidl-Trek is an obvious one, but they really stepped it up to a different level, I think, this time round in comparison to other kind of Grand Tours. Visma Leasebike, again, another winner. It's a bit of an obvious one, but, you know, getting the win, getting that stage win in miraculous kind of style, that was a really cool moment. And, you know, Coy getting his wins. And Astana, I would say as well, is another winner. Just for the fact that they, you know, in pursuit of UCI points, they actually ended up putting on a hell of a show. Super entertaining to watch. Really animated the race in lots of stages. And yeah, not a team just looking for UCI points now. I think they're almost kind of beyond that now. I don't think we need to worry too much. They'll continue to, which is fine, but they put their best foot forward here and quite rightfully netted quite a lot of UCI points in the process to save them from the clutches of a relegation.
Do you want to hear my funny Richard Carapaz stat?
Yeah, go on then.
2019, he finishes first. 2022, he finishes second. 2025, he finishes third. 2019, he finishes fourth. He's got the whole fourth in the Giro d'Italia in his palmares.
Wow. So 5th next year?
Probably doesn't. He's not coming back to the Giro just because of that. But Israel Premier Tech, Derek G, 4th place. I think that was quite a big winner as well. And I mean, Jaco Alula, I think they wanted the top 10. I don't really want to put them as a winner because equally Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, that would kind of be in the, not winners, but happy. This isn't a sub-tier list, but you see what I mean? I wouldn't put them as winners of this Giro because they've done far better in the past. But Israel Premier Tech, really, as a pro-continental team, moving up with 4th place with Derek G, and they can really rally behind him for next year as well. I think that was super impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've really found a new gem in Derek G for a GC perspective, and it's the future's definitely bright in that perspective.
But I mean, coming now to the losers, and obviously we in the tier list we put Groupama FDJ bottom with no David Gaudu result, Cofidis at the bottom. Intermarché I would kind of throw in there as well. They didn't. I was kind of hoping for a stage win with so many breakaway times they were in the break. But like you said earlier, like, their depth is just not there for the team, unfortunately. Bardiani, I don't want to call them a loser because Bardiani were doing Bardiani things. Arkea, World Tour team, disappointing in them. Movistar, 8th place with Rubio. But yeah, this is a team that, as we said, have won the Giro in the past.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you're pretty much kind of covered.
Would you put Ineos in, or is that too harsh?
No, I don't think they're a
No, I don't think so either.
I think there's just quite a few teams who aren't either.
Yeah.
Just are very much just like on par, like Ineos and Alpecin, Bahrain, Decathlon. There's a lot of teams who just were in the passable part, essentially, who didn't get quite what they were wanting out of this race, but got most of it, or at least part of it that's the most important part. So I think there's quite a few in that sort of category. I would say Q36.5 are a loser in this as well. I think there was a lot of hype about Pidcock and winning 2 or 3 stage wins in this race, and it just didn't materialize. And instead, it was this long, drawn suffering where he slowly just dropped down the GC order and ended up just slogging it out for 16th in GC. And it would have just been far better for him just to absolutely just break off that dream early on or earlier, and then just go into breakaways, because, you know, Prodom won from a break and Harper won from a break about final week, and that could have been Pidcock, I think, but he didn't lose time because he was dogmatically trying to get a top 10.
I think you're so right, because like we saw Tiberi in the break. I think you mentioned this on the recap. He gained, and this is complete taken from you, almost word for word, and you were saying that he was higher up in, I think, still in the GC, but he leapfrogged him because of the breakaway time he gained. So the whole snakes and ladders approach that we've seen so many times with Hugh Carthy and Guillaume Mantin. So it's kind of, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Pidcock, for me, was the most disappointing rider with what we were hoping to see. This classic specialist, mountain bike Olympic champion, the Alpe d'Huez stage in 2022, which is getting further and further away from recency. So yeah, we were kind of hoping for that, and there was plenty of opportunities, like you pointed out in the preview.
Yeah, exactly. So I did think that thought Pidcock would at least be getting a stage win in this race. It is what it is.
But anyways, with that, that's basically it for our ranking of the Giro d'Italia 2025. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel here on the Cycling Day Extra, and thank you for listening if you're listening to the podcast. Comment down below what you thought of the Giro, and make sure to follow Patrick's own channel as well, Outdo Cycling. That will be in the description down below. But as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. The Dauphiné! Boom!